Welcome to Eastern High School's Athletics Podcast. Today we join Coach Shep, Coach Graves, and Coach Graham as they recap this past week in Eagle sports. Also sure to entertain, each week we'll hear from an exciting feature Eagle as they discuss the week's upcoming matches and games. And now, here are your hosts, Coach Shep, Coach Graves, and Coach Graham.
This podcast is sponsored by East End Plumbing Supply, the official plumbing supply of Eastern Athletics. Eastern alum Scott Jackson has been instrumental in adding and updating all of our plumbing facilities on campus. You should help him out with your business. Go to East End Plumbing Supply off Waterston Trail. Tell him Shep sent you. All right, welcome into the inaugural edition of the Eastern High School Athletics Podcast. Just a few introductions. We're going to go around. My name is Joe Schepper. Most people just call me Shep. Not really sure where the coach Shep came from. I don't coach anything. I'm just Shep. I'm the athletic director here at Eastern High School. I've been here 2 years as of January. And then I was at Butler 10 years prior to that. So
if we're going to have any returning listeners, you may want to get a little voice inflection or something.
Okay, I'll try to get
a little
that.
Energy.
My background comes from golf and baseball.
I mean, let's go.
However, I have experience in some other sports as well. My co-hosts are going to be Coach TJ Graves.
In-house PE director.
Yeah, he's a PE teacher here at Eastern High School. He's also the head baseball coach at Eastern High School. Want to tell him a little bit about your background?
I'm a teacher and coach here. Coach Heike?
He's coached at 3 different schools. He coached at DeSales, at Southern, and at Eastern as a head baseball coach.
Affirmative.
Born and raised in Cincinnati. We got some Bengals fans in the house.
Affirmative.
Former professional baseball player. You can find this card.
All right.
It sells for roughly $15 on eBay.
Shout out to Dylan Gallagher for running that price up a little bit.
Thank you, Dylan.
Nice.
All right, so our other co-host is Coach. Well, also not a coach, but assistant AD Dylan Graham. Randomly, when I got the job here at Eastern High School 2 years ago, I looked on the staff list, and there was a guy I worked with at Olmsted, and he happened to be a middle school AD, so he was the middle school AD at Olmsted North, so he has a lot of background in athletics. He also served as a head baseball coach, or was an assistant baseball coach at Iroquois High School.
Head coach.
Any other background that we need to know?
Head softball coach at Eastern High School.
Interim.
Right now?
No, he was previously. Also played baseball in college at Kentucky Wesleyan down there in Owensboro. So we got a lot of baseball on the show. We're going to try to branch out into other things. He's a Cowboys fan and a Kentucky Wildcats fan. Yeah. He teaches PE. Do you teach PE or what do you say? You're
weightlifting and weightlifting accessories.
Okay, weightlifting and weightlifting accessories. We got our guest here on the show. We'll get into him a little bit later on Coach Heike, but we're going to go into our recap of the previous week. So last week, not a great week for boys basketball here at Eastern High School. We got up, I think, 21-4 on Mail on Friday night, shooting completely lights out at Mail. Good crowd there. Good Friday night to do all that, only to then choke back that lead and lose by about 12 or 15. So we lost that one. Interesting fact, Mail went on the next week and beat Heuke, who's like number 2 in the state. So I guess Mail's pretty darn good, so I would judge us as pretty darn good. But the city is just really tough to play basketball in. That's just a fact. So that brings us to Tuesday night's game, which was probably the biggest game of our season because we had to try to get ourselves out of the 4 seed for the district. We went to English Station Road over to Christian Academy. Once again, ran into a buzzsaw. Christian Academy couldn't miss. Our defense couldn't stop. We couldn't hit. Alas, we end up losing by about 20 over there. And we find ourselves squarely as the 4 seed in the district tournament 2 weeks from Tuesday. And we're going to face the number 1 seeded Ballard Bruins, who happen to be probably a top 5 team in the state, including probably one of the best players in the state. So that's really not a great look on a possibility to get to the region. But we did fare well against them when we played at Ballard. We only lost by, I believe, 7 or 6 or something of that sort. So playing them on a neutral court, maybe that's a bump. Maybe we'll be okay.
Maybe they'll get food poisoning.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, good things happen, but hopefully the Eagles can extend our season past the district tournament for the first time in 3 years. On to another situation. that we had this past week, not situation, but bowling participated in the state tournament. We had a unified bowling team finish semifinals, and then we had Taylor Sams. She went all the way to the Final Four. It was kind of cool. I went to the bowling tournament, and I used to go to those as Butler too. It was over in J-Town at the glorious Kingpin Lanes. Fantastic facility. I can't emphasize enough. Got to witness that. It is. I will say, all jokes aside, to bowling, and it's it's impressive. Like, to go from I think there were 64 girls in the tournament, and she ended up being one of the last 4 left. And the girl that she was going against ended up winning state, honestly.
Wow.
But the girl had like 6 strikes in a row to beat her. But it was a good. She'll be back next year. Good experience. Another big news in the Eastern high school sports world: football schedule released and a head coach named. Next episode we'll dig deeper into that. But real quick, the football schedule was released. Go see it on Twitter. I'm not going to waste my breath going over all that because we'll go game by game next week with our new head coach, Ken Whalen, who was named our coach yet again here at Eastern High School. And we'll talk about swimming in the last segment when we get to Heike, because swimming participated in the region over at U of L, and that went pretty well, correct?
It went well. Yes, it did.
And we'll go more in depth when we get to that point. So the next segment we go into, is there anything to chime in on last week? Coach Graves, you got anything else to say?
No, I think we need to ask, is Eastern a bowling school now?
I mean,
I think it needs to be asked.
There's only facts, and I only go with facts here. And the facts are that however many baseball players did join the bowling team,
Affirmative.
they all got to play in a region for the first time in their high school career. So that was really awesome. So
You'll be here all week.
that's just fact.
Your waiter, waitress.
You got anything else to add in there,
And he's the supportive.
Right.
No, I'm going to save my stats for the upcoming.
Okay, upcoming week. So looking ahead, this is the exciting stuff because you know what? We don't know how these are going to go, so it's positive, right? We're going to look at the forward week. So boys basketball. They got a triple header at Wagner tomorrow night, going down to St. Matthews to face off with the Wildcats. That first game's at 4:30. Varsity, I think, is at 7:30. Come on out. Those of you that are in the student section and have fun at the games, those opportunities are dwindling. Those opportunities are dwindling quite a bit. There's a possibility that we should only have 3 or 4 of those student section games left. So get sad, seniors. Play your graduation songs and all that stuff. Then they got John Harden next Tuesday. They're going down to face them. And then they added a game next Wednesday. They're going to be hosting Shelby County. So that's another opportunity for a student section here at school. You can use your pass. Come on out. Shelby County on Wednesday. It's a 7:15 game for the varsity. There's a JV game before it at 6. And then next Friday, we'll talk more about it on our next podcast, but that's senior night against Central. That's the last home game. That's boys and girls. Wrestling's going to regionals this weekend. Those are at Wagner as well. Eastern brought back a wrestling team for the first time in several years, and we have about 9 wrestlers participating in regionals. So we will be doing that on Saturday. Dance is going to nationals. They're participating in the dance team union, I believe what it's called, nationals in Orlando, Florida. And then swimming, which once again we have Coach Heike on our show later. Swimming next week will be in the dive and swim championships in Lexington.
Yes, sir.
So we'll talk more about that when we get there. Also, Coach Rand stopped by today, and he wanted to make sure the track's not forgotten in this whole thing. Go ahead and round us out, Dylan. What did Coach Rand say we got going on this weekend?
All right, so track this weekend, we have the Eastern Indoors track meet. We have 22 states represented in this meet, multiple All-Americans from across those states, and over 1,500 entrants from 120 different teams.
And that's down there at the beautiful Norton Sports and Learning Center, which is pumping out indoor meets now, man. Just so everybody kind of knows, I've heard rumor mill, and you'll get some rumor mill on the podcast, I guess, that next year the KHSA is going to be sanctioning indoor track and field, and I believe the state will be at that Norton Sports and Learning Center. So that's kind of a cool thing because we do pretty well in state. Like we have a few runner-ups and stuff like that. So that's an opportunity for our track athletes to get. Because I think right now it's run by the Coaches Association. It's not run by the KHSA. You got anything else to add to next week?
got lots of stats for next week.
What you got?
All right, so fun facts for Wagner. They are 7-14. They're on a 2-game win streak against the powerhouse Louisville homeschoolers and Brown. So, they have a lot of momentum coming into this game. Also, their leading scorer, averaging 13 points per game. You probably recognize him. Former Eagle Kevin Bland.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
I'm glad he found a spot. That's good.
Yeah, leading scorer at Wagner. John Harden, they are a whopping 2-23 on the year. So we should be okay in that one. And Shelby County, currently on a 6-game losing streak. So a lot of big games coming up next week.
Let's get our heads right.
Get
let's
some
get some momentum going into the
Momentum.
postseason. Let's go.
It
I did
matters.
leave out one stat earlier that I should have thrown in there. So we beat LaRue County last week, kind of in between.
Oh, it was on a Saturday after
in between the 2 big games, male and cow. We beat LaRue County. So put it in perspective, we are currently 6th in Region 7 in boys basketball. LaRue County is on top of Region 5 right now, and we went and beat them by 15. So that gives
They're
a
pretty
little
good. They
perspective
played in
to
the
how
King of the Bluegrass. I don't remember how they did, but they were in the King of the Bluegrass. So they got a kid. They got some kid that's real good.
Yeah, it just gives perspective to our basketball team is actually very good.
Oh!
Just playing a very difficult region.
Dude, yeah. Let's emphasize that enough. You're playing in a district where you have a team that's perennially in the top 5 in Ballard, and then you have 2 private schools that spend probably a little bit more than we do on basketball, ready to go in that district. It's a tough district to be in. Not to mention the region, which the region is just a bear. I mean, Mail, Ballard, everybody. And then 6th region, you probably play half of the 6th region teams, and that's a tough region too. So it's a tough sledding to be in the boys basketball program, but hopefully. And the thing is, and I'll tell you this, because I've been to a bunch of them, and I've been to the away games and I've been to the home games. Anything can happen in city basketball. Anything. Seneca trounced Trinity 2 weeks ago. Anything can happen. And just get out there and shoot well. And I'll tell you what, when our guys shoot well, I'll put them up against anybody when they shoot well. I mean, I just watched a Cal team that didn't have anybody that was shocking me athletically just come out there and make every 3 in the whole world. You shoot well, you beat anybody. So, all right. So the other thing that's coming up next week is we got spring sports starting. Tryout dates begin. They are listed on the image that's going to be on this podcast. So you'll see them on there. You can pause it to get more information. But girls lacrosse, most of them are going to be February 13th through the 15th. Girls lacrosse is the 15th at King Louis. Baseball is on the 13th and 15th here at Eastern. Tennis is on the 13th all the way through the 2nd, every day after school basically at Blairwood. Boys lacrosse is on the 15th at King Louis. Softball's on the 13th and 16th here at Eastern. And then track is open. They don't cut anybody, and they have 100 million people on their track team. So go join the Kumbaya if you would like to be a part of the track
coach,
team.
the tennis coach, how many years has he been coaching?
5-0. So
50
Rick
years.
Cotton. Yeah, we're
50
going to
years.
make it. We're
He
glad
was
to.
my math teacher when I was here.
That's
Is that right? We're gonna have to make a big. I already sent that to a couple news segments, so you might get to see Rick Cotton recognized. Rick Cotton might be a good guest to put on the show. He's one of the most interesting men on planet
Do you
Earth.
know he was
If we have a
one
3-hour
of the Sooners on the back of the wagon during the
Yeah, he rode the
Rode it
wagon
into
for
the game.
Oklahoma when he was a student at Oklahoma.
before there were cars.
But what Graves was saying is he is now, this year is his 50th year coaching tennis at Eastern High School. Or not at Eastern High School, in JCPS. I think he had some years at other schools. But I doubt severely that anybody did that many safety courses and was a coach for 50 years, because that's absurd. That's a long time to be a coach, and tennis for that. It is what it is. Any other stats for us?
Nope. The
Going-
rest is for Heike.
All right, so the last segment of our show, that's next week's stuff. The last segment of our show, we got Mike Heike on here, head girls and boys swim coach here at Eastern High School. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Mike.
Well, I am an Eastern High School grad, first of all. Proud, 1989 Eastern grad. Spent my college years at the University of Kentucky. Went to UVL for my master's and started my teaching career at South Oldham High School. Coached basketball and swim there. And when I owe a lot to Jim Sexton, God rest his soul. And he brought me here to Eastern High School, which is the only place I would have left South for back in 2008, and I've been here ever since. And I love coaching the boys and girls swimming here, and got hopefully a handful more years in front of me, and we are super excited about next weekend.
Yeah, Mike, he's all up in the swim world. I'm friends with him on too many social medias, and I get to see 9,000 different Douglas Hills swim competitions and stuff.
Go Hurricanes!
If you swim, you know Mike Heike. It's pretty much like the first thing when I got the job at Eastern. My wife, her cousin, is the head swim coach at Transy, and we were at a family gathering, and I was like, he's like, "Oh, you're at Eastern?" He goes, "You know Mike Heike?" Everybody knows Mike Heike. So Mike Heike is our first.
That's a double-edged sword sometimes. You got to watch yourself. You got to be careful out there in the.
So let's look at what we got. So we finished in the region. I'm going to pull up my graphic that we put on Twitter, but we finished.
Great graphic, by the way.
Fantastic. I'm really glad we moved the kid a little bit because we didn't want any butts on our graphics.
Exactly.
We wanted it to be clean. We're all about clean.
Too many of those on the pool deck.
For sure, yeah. So anyways, girls finished third in the region behind, shockingly, Sacred Heart and Assumption.
Who were 1-2 in the state last year, just to kind of put that into perspective.
Okay, boys finished second in the region, shockingly behind
Trinity.
What do those schools have in common? You know, they're not JCPS schools, I'll put it at that. We also had our champions were, and by the way, you need to let me know. I didn't know that somebody got on me because I put meters on this graphic. I just assumed that you use meters just like track, but you use yards in the swimming pool.
Yeah, in short course swim season is just in yards. In the summer, during long course, it's all in meters. So, yes, we swim yards.
It just seems very confusing.
You shouldn't know that. You shouldn't be.
I shouldn't know that.
You shouldn't be expecting.
Okay, so I put meters on this, but the dives are meters.
Yes.
So that's why
The
you got me on the dive on the first one. That's what it was. Okay, so Allie Stem, 1 meter dive champ. Hannah Schmidt was the 100-yard breaststroke champ. Stem and Schmidt were both all region. On the boys' side, Graham Braden, 1 meter dive champ. Curtis Feller, 200-yard individual medley champ. Curtis Feller, 100-yard breaststroke champ. So Curtis Feller is a dual regional champion. That's pretty awesome. And then Bill McMinn, 500 yards. That seems like a lot of swimming freestyle. And then all three of them were all region as well. I know we had some relays in there that you had.
Yes, in fact, we qualified all 6 relays to state. And that tells you, when you look at like the top 10, top 15 teams across the state, one of the things that's common amongst all of them is getting all 3 relays for the boys' side and all 3 relays for the girls' side, and we got that done, and so we're super excited about that opportunity.
What are our chances on getting some champions out of this state swim meet?
How many went to state? How many kids are going to state?
Well, the teams both qualified, yes?
Teams both qualified. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 girls, both individually and on relays, and then 6 boys individually and on relays. And so we're going to have a really strong presence with both squads at the state meet. And I would say, if you're looking at who's the highest probable state champion individually, it's probably Hannah Schmidt. She's at a level that, and we have some other girls that are at that level. Ava Graziani, and she is just tough as nails. And the greatest thing about every one of our qualifiers at state, not a single one of them is a senior. They're all coming back. We're young. We have great senior leadership. We'll have some on some of our relays at state, and some of them served as in leadership roles throughout the season. But when you look at our squad overall on both sides, we are young, and we're going to continue to be a presence, not just here locally, but at the state level.
Awesome. Well, I hope she can overcome the handicap of having Coach Graves as a PE teacher for one day.
That seems like a Michael Scott handicap. I don't know.
So,
the old front,
where do we not to
George
comparatively,
Foreman
but where's Manual fit in at this? Because isn't Manual the other pretty big JCPS swim team?
Yeah, I mean, we've finished ahead of Manual over the last several years, and in fact, I'll tell you a quick story. This past year, Manual, for probably the first time in several seasons, well over a handful of seasons, beat us in a dual meet this year. I don't want to say the reason was we were shorthanded, but we were a little bit shorthanded in the meet. They swam really well, And at the end of the meet, their head coach, JC, who I love to death, he looked at me and he said, "Man, I haven't had this feeling in a long time. I'm definitely going to go have a celebratory cocktail after this." And I actually felt good hearing that, because that just told me how much it meant for them to actually, take one from us.
It's awesome. And I know we beat Assumption in a swimming meet this year.
And
that was the first time.
And that was a huge first step. And it's different between a dual meet, regional meet, and a state meet. And what you might find happening is, we beat them in the dual meet. We were full strength. They took us at regionals. But I have a funny feeling that we can reverse things and finish ahead of them at the state meet. It's just a whole different animal, the way that it's scored, and you have a whole collection of elite swimmers. And
we like beating private schools. Not gonna lie.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, doesn't happen all the time,
No,
but we try our best to have them, and we hang them on the wall. All right, so. Good luck to the swim team at state. What time? What are we looking at? What does the schedule look like?
So dive is next Thursday when Allie and Graham and Connor. The girls will go in the morning on Thursday, the boys in the afternoon. Friday is girls, prelims and finals. Prelims in the morning, finals in the afternoon and evening. And then Saturday, the boys, prelims in the morning, finals in the afternoon. So 3 days of fun and excitement, and hopefully Eastern will prove to be one of the top contenders there.
Hopefully you can keep us updated on social media. I know sometimes at those state meets, when you shove that many people into a building, the cell reception is not fantastic.
No, it's not, but I'll do my best, that's for sure.
All right, so were we going to do, it is Super Bowl week. Did we not talk about doing that?
Oh, yeah, but we should have probably let everyone know.
No, we'll just do it off the hook. So this is our first episode, so we're going to do something fun at the end, which is we're going to do a Mount Rushmore of Super Bowl foods. Super Bowl foods. So snacks at your house. You're having a house party. You're watching Super Bowl. What is your Mount Rushmore? Each one of us will give one. Correct?
Go around.
We'll go around the room. Each one gets.
I only get one choice.
You could be mad if somebody takes yours, but whatever. So, who would like to go first?
I would.
Okay, Coach Graves would like to go first.
Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket.
100%. Pigs in a blanket.
That's going to be mine.
That's your favorite.
Pigs in a
Oh,
blanket.
yeah, it's not
My
good.
question is it pigs in a blanket like hot, or is it like
No,
40
I want
minutes, like after halftime when you go back and they're room temperature?
I could eat them frozen.
Yeah, we crush them either way.
Eat them frozen.
Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a
All
blanket,
right,
number one.
who's next?
I'll go next. You'll probably never have had these before, but if you ever have my sausage wontons, you will come back begging me to bring them to every future Super Bowl. Because they are
Sausage
the
wonton.
Mac Daddy sausage
What do you dip 'em
wontons.
in?
Spicy or
You put Tabasco, your favorite hot sauce, on them.
Okay.
They are magic.
We're going to have to bring Barry in on one of these. This feels like a very good old conversation.
I want-
that we got in there.
Definitely. And I'll bring some wontons for the crew next time we do it. I promise you that. I'll make some and bring them in.
All right, Graham.
All right, I'm going to play to the crowd a little bit here. And I'm vehemently against this as a meal. Let me preface this. Just awful. One of the worst things ever. But Skyline chili dip.
Let's go.
With red,
That was going to be
with-
my
with
number two.
Normal Doritos.
That was gonna be my
as
number
your
two.
scoop is
Skyline chili.
Absolutely
You talking about the chili?
The
so
dip.
like cream cheese,
Yeah.
chili, cheese, Dorito scoop.
Yep.
Fire.
100%. That's actually, I was thinking about saying that. It was Skyline Day.
And I hate Skyline.
I like
Skyline
a
dip
lot
is
of things.
fantastic.
This is a.
That's-
you all
that's
left me
money.
with the. That's a good one. The Skyline chili dip's good. 2 Cincinnati guys, big fans, big fan. No, no. This is a clean podcast. Graves. I'll go with pretzels and beer cheese. Always a solid choice. I pretty much keep it on hand at the house. You got the little waffle pretzels. You dip them in the real pasty beer cheese. Hall's beer cheese. It's a solid move. It's always the go-to.
I'm a fan of soft pretzels. You get the
I've done soft pretzels with
torn
them.
up.
Where you get the best soft pretzels is on your way home from Eastern High School. You stop at Heitzman's Bakery and you get pretzel nuggets and you warm them up for about 30 seconds in the. You know what I forgot? Sorry, I'm not supposed to slap the table. I forgot our podcast sponsor. Our podcast sponsor.
We have a sponsor?
Yes, we already have a sponsor. We've not had an episode yet. We have a sponsor,
It's
and
actually
that's
a really appropriate sponsor.
Have
I'm
they-
talking about these.
Are
Have
you
they
ready
cut-
for the
Eating at a
sponsor?
Super Bowl
Have they
party.
cut a
Are you
check
ready for
first?
the sponsor?
As
if
long
you're
as they
going
cut a
to eat
check.
these 4 things at your Super Bowl party,
No free.
you're going to need working plumbing.
No free
Okay?
sponsors.
And
Oh,
you-
yeah! My man! Yes, they
You
have.
go
Yes.
to East End Plumbing Supply.
100%.
Okay, East
Best,
End Plumbing
best
Supply.
supply.
I heard
ever.
a little birdie told me
Phenomenal.
that President Scott Jackson just got back from Vegas and signed a deal. They're going to carry Kohler.
I love
Kohler,
it.
the
I
bold
love it.
look of Kohler
I love it.
is
Never
appearing
applaud,
at
right
East
there. They are the
End
best.
Plumbing Supply.
They are the best.
Yes, East End Plumbing Supply, the number one supplier for
100%.
Eastern Athletics.
100%.
Any toilet
There
that
is
you've
no
gone
number
and
two.
used at Eastern has been supplied by East End Plumbing Supply. So congratulations to them and thank them for their sponsorship. Anybody got anything? Party shots?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Tabor's gone, buddy. No more fly, Eagles, fly. All right. Thank you all very much. And go Eastern, right? Woo-hoo!